How to play guitar without looking at the strings. In this lesson, I'm going to give you a few pointers, a few tips and tricks on how to do so. So here's the first thing I want to share. When you begin guitar and you're doing open chords, a lot of times players will look at one or the other of the hands. Most beginners tend to look at their strumming hand, especially when there's a complicated rhythm. So that'll be the first thing to get out of in the first place. It would be to train yourself to look at your chord hand. Now let's fast forward a while and say you've done that. Well, let's say now I'm looking at the strings still here. I'm going like this. So things have improved. I'm not looking at my strumming hand. I am looking at this hand, which means I'm still looking at the strings, but it makes our next step easier. What you've got to do is the following. You've got to be okay with making lots of mistakes on guitar when you're training yourself to play guitar without looking at the strings. Now, that is the major point here, because you are going to make mistakes. You'll be so used to looking at the strings, excuse me, so used to looking at the strings that all of a sudden now to look away, there will be errors. When we tap into your senses, the primary sense you were looking at, let's say your sight, your hearing, and the feel, the primary sense you were tapping into to assess your playing was your sight. Now, the quickest way to get this out of the way is to close your eyes. So you could practice your G with your eyes closed. Now, as you do that, if you want to grab your guitar and try this, as you do that, you will begin to notice more how the guitar sounds and how it feels to play. Like, how do your fingers feel on the fretboard? Do they feel spaced out? Do they feel close together, like on an E minor? And begin to notice how the texture of the strings feel underneath your fingers. So that would be tip number one, would be to close your eyes. Just keep your eyes closed and be okay with making mistakes. So if I'm playing my G, then D. Now, if you take that at home and try it, odds are two things are going to happen. Number one, you might strum all the strings on your D instead of missing the top two strings. So that's the first thing that might happen. So in that case, when you're practicing changing, just narrow your strum. So for any strumming patterns, any strings you're meant to miss on guitar, just move the hand down as necessary. And you can feel that. You don't need to look at it to do it. The second thing is when you change chord, your fingers might go in a different place. Like, do you ever play that D? that isn't a nice one. So your ring finger could not have moved down on the D. Now, when you take your chords, strum one of them, then strum the other. And if it does sound like it's in the wrong place, you have two options here. Keep your eyes closed and fix it by feel. Just get a sense of where your fingers are and just move it down or move it up or change string. Then strum it again until it sounds correct. Or number two, you open your eyes and you look down and you go, oh man, my ring finger was up a string, I'll change it. But log that little inaccuracy in your playing then. So go to G again, close your eyes, move to D, and remember this time that finger might have to move down a bit farther than you thought you should move it. So you can make changes that way. Do this on your main chords, like pick one, like C, G, and watch what I'll do. I look, I go back down, and I get my G. You know what I mean? And then the other thing is, you do that on all the chord pairings, and then you can chain them together. So what I mean by that is, I mean that you play one G, one C, one D, and just keep getting a sense and a feel of if the finger's in the correct place or not. Then you can add back in your rhythm. Now, those are the main basic key points on how to play guitar without looking down at the strings. My own guitar teacher shared with me that like turn off the light switch if it's nighttime, and like even if you want to open your eyes, you won't be seeing much. You know what I mean? It's like, and you really have to get into the feel of the guitar then. And it's basically the same tips as well, same tips and tricks for how to play guitar without looking down at your hands and strings when you do guitar solos and riffs. So, if you stuck me this far, I hope you found this of value. I'm wishing you good luck on your guitar journey. And if you do want to receive more lessons directly into your YouTube feed, be sure to like and hit subscribe, and we'll spread the word. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Dave, and we'll chat soon.